I never can hit the right button. It never fails. I want to share my Rufus with everybody. Hello, Rufus. He just got groomed the other day. So he's all puffy and soft. He's a soft puffball right now. It's just great. Yeah. Say, I'm a golden doodle and I'm a doodle brain. I am a doodle brain. Yes. He's such a baby. Alright. I just wanted to share him with everybody because he's so fluffy and so cute right now. And I love him so much. Yes, I do. Mwah. Okay. Oh! And now he does what I want him to do. Ah! Yes, he's very soft. Like, you should see this. Hang on. You should see this fluffy tail. Woo! You should see this fluffy tail. Look at that fluffy tail. It's all fluff. It's great. Okay. Anyway, no, now we'll get started. Let's go ahead and get down. Off. Good boy. Good off. Good off. My goodness. It's the end of February, and we are pretty well into March now, and so I need to do a wrap-up video for the month of February. What was that? Oh, that was him with his bone. It scared me to death. So, I didn't actually do as much reading as I did the month before in January. January was like reading extravaganza month. I think I read like 11 or 12 books last month, and that was crazy. This is more of my average kind of a month. This month, February, I started a whole lot of stuff, but I really only finished like 4 actual books, and then I read a lot of manhwa off of the internet. So, pretty good month. It might have been a little higher average because I don't know exactly how many collections I read when I was reading the manhwa. I basically read everything of these 2 series that I'm going to share with you. So it is pretty much a lot of reading going on. That was good. Another thing I did a lot of last month, oh my gosh, was crochet. I made 3 of these crochet hats. This one is for me. It is my favorite colors, green, but I also did black with it so I could wear it with just about everything. Then I made one for my daughter that's purple, and then I made one for my son that's blue and yellow. And so we now have these for when it's really cold outside, and little bobblehead tops. I love them so much. And the best thing about these is that I can whip these out like in a few hours, like no problem, because you take 2 threads and you crochet with a really big hook. And so they're really, really fast. So I'm thinking about making a bunch of these for my daughter's cheerleading squad, because during the fall, it sometimes gets really cold at the games, and the girls could wear one of these if it's in the right colors. And so I just think that was something that I could do. I could whip out 100 of these over the summer, no worries, and then just give them to all of the cheerleaders that want to participate this year. So I think that would be really nice to do. So anyway, lots of hats. Another thing I'm working on, and I actually don't usually do this too often, is make sweaters. So this is a sweater. It is not put together yet, the sleeve, the front and the back. So I have to make like one more sleeve and then the neck when I put it together. And so that will actually be pretty quick. So I'm really looking forward to finishing that. And then I wanted to make something to carry my Kindle in, to kind of keep it protected. It has a really old case on it. It's a really old Kindle Paperwhite though. It's like one of the first Kindle Paperwhites they made. And so I am about, I don't know, 75% there. What I'll do is I'll just make a giant rectangle and then fold it over so it's like an envelope, and then sew up the sides and put a little, like a button or something, you know, to kind of keep it closed like an envelope, and loop that around. But once I'm done with that, I'll share that with everybody. because I just really just like to make things. And this is just old, like red yarn I had around that I haven't used for anything else. So I was just using whatever colors I had for that. But that was another thing I worked on. So did a lot of reading. I did a lot of, when I was listening to books also, I just did a lot of crochet. So that was really nice this month too. So the physical books that I actually read for the month of February. We'll start with Anne of Windy Poplars. This is the fourth book. This is the fourth book in the Anne of Green Gables series by Ellen Montgomery. This follows Anne after she has finished college and she has started teaching, but she is waiting for Gilbert to finish becoming a doctor, and so that she can marry Gilbert and start having their own family. So it kind of talks about the troubles that Anne has with starting teaching in a new community, all the people that she's got to meet and get along with, and then kind of just this waiting for the 3 years to be over with, waiting for Gilbert to finally become a doctor and to, go and get married and get on with her life. Well, she meets a lot of people during this time, lots of people that she really likes. She kind of helps on these little funny things that happen in the community. She helps kind of people, finally get over some hurdles to like get married, to kind of get over their own, their problems that they're having and things like that. So I actually really enjoyed this book a lot more than the last one, which was it Anne of the Island, I think? Yeah, it was Anne of the Island. So I think, I kind of liked them just as much, but this one was really enjoyable. You really felt that love in there that Anne has for Gilbert. And there's a lot of letter writing in this book, which I actually really enjoy letter writing in books a lot. So anyway, this is just really good, solid gold. I think I gave it like a 4.5. I just really enjoyed this book, and it was very calming, very soothing, just like almost all of the other Anne books are. And I really enjoy Ellen Montgomery's writing, and I'm going to keep going with that series, and I'm going to finish it out. I'll put you there. The next book that I finally finished after months of just kind of savoring this book and reading it super slowly was Hilary Mantel's Wolf Hall. Oh my gosh, Wolf Hall. It's very immersing, and I enjoyed it, and it's very dark, but I had to take it a little bit at a time because I'd almost get depressed a little bit by reading some of the things that happen in this book. But it's a very fascinating story, and it is very interesting. I just really enjoyed it. I liked how dark it was. It was really more about the story, Henry VIII and Anne Boleyn, and how what they wanted being together, and Henry's longing and just really wanting to have a son and heir, how their actions really changed the course of English history, and I think really changed the course of marriage in the modern era, in the last few centuries. If Henry VIII had never divorced Catherine of Aragon and done all of the things in order for him to do that, and fought against the church, the Catholic Church, and how they wanted him to stay with Catherine of Aragon, I don't think divorce would have been as early adopted as it was. All thanks to Anne Boleyn and Henry VIII. So take that as you will. But it's just very interesting how their actions really changed the course of English history, how it was so political, how everything they did was looked down upon, was commented upon, the English themselves, how they felt about it, the wives of Englishmen, how they felt about it. I just really think it was very well described in this book, and it was very well examined. And so pretty much at the end of this book, Anne and Henry are finally married. She is finally put in as a queen. And you're getting all of this from Thomas Cromwell's perspective. So Cromwell is now a pretty highly respected man himself because he was helping Anne Boleyn. and he was supporting her in a lot of ways and supporting the king. And so now we will be going on to the next chapter of Cromwell's life after this one, and it should be pretty interesting because everything, if you know your English history, everything starts getting really bad really fast. So Bring Up the Bodies is the next book by Hilary Mantel, and I think I will be picking that one up pretty soon. I'm just not exactly sure when, but I am interested in continuing on the story. Okay, the next book that I actually read was A Fragile Enchantment by Alison Saft. This was a really soft fantasy romance, and it was just a very sweet story, and I enjoyed it a lot. It was really cute. I mean, that's really just how I would describe this whole story. It was really cute. Cute, fluffy, just a sweet story. I really enjoyed it a lot. Our female main character's name was Neve, Neve, and she had the ability to create feelings and emotions through her magic, and then she could sew that magic into garments. So not only could she make emotional things happen, but she could also physically make things happen with her magic as well. So for instance, she sewed almost an invisibility cloak. The male character lead had asked, well, I just don't want to be noticed by anybody, because she asked him what he wanted, and I don't want to be noticed by anybody. And so she kind of made a cloak that would make him not noticeable to people, not invisible, but would kind of give this, would kind of make him just, he's there, but he's not there, kind of a thing going on. Like if he stood in a corner, nobody would notice him at all, like with this cloak. So I thought that was kind of a neat ability. Magic was kind of freely done in this book. There weren't any specific like races that were, it wasn't limited to races. I think that these were all humans, but they possessed some kind of a magic. Maybe some didn't, some did. But it wasn't like, only the Fae have magic or anything like that. There was no Fae at all in this. Fairies, I think, were mentioned, but like in a mythological sort of sense. So anyway, the story was really simple. I was kind of in a mood for that sort of thing. So when starting a lot of different books this month, when I kind of started this one, I was like, oh, I can listen to this for a while. And it was really cute to me and really like easy to follow, and I could do my crochet during it and all of that stuff. So that was why I listened to it. I enjoyed it. Now, it is not a 5-star book. Not at all. It is very lacking. It's not got a lot of elements that would make it a 5-star book, but it is a really good story, and I enjoyed the story. So I gave it a 3 out of 5 because I did get enjoyment out of it. If you're looking for something that's simple, if you're looking for something that's sweet, if you're just looking for a sweet, simple story, I do recommend it. And it is a pretty popular book right now. I was on a hold for that book, and it looked like I had another 6 weeks going on it. But then I had an Audible credit come, and I was like, ooh, I have an Audible credit. Let's go ahead and spend that on this book because it's kind of up my alley anyway. And so I spent it on it, and I'm glad I spent it on it. I think that if I had gotten it from the library, that would have been better. But in this instance, I am glad I went ahead and spent the credit on it because it was a cute book and I enjoyed it. The next book that I picked up at the library, oh my goodness. It was definitely February at the library when I went in to go see what was new on the shelves. They have a whole section where they put the brand new books now, which I really appreciate because it's easy to go and pick up a brand new copy of that brand new, fantasy romance or sci-fi or whatever it is you're after now. If you just walk on in, they might just have it there. But you could definitely tell there was romance theme going on, and I kind of like, my jaw almost dropped when I saw this book, and I was thinking to myself, would they really put this out? But it intrigued me, so I went ahead and picked it up. Sex tips. Sex tips for creative lovers. Pleasure for everybody. And this is written by a French woman, and I'm probably going to mispronounce this name horribly, but it's June Pla, or Pla, maybe Pla, I don't know. Pla with the two little dots above it. I'm not quite sure how you're supposed to pronounce that, so please excuse me if that's very wrong. But it is an interesting book. I'm not going to go into details on what's in this book. It is a biology lesson. I will say that. It is an anatomy lesson. I will say that. And it does give some advice that I think is very sound advice, just for getting along with your partner, if nothing else, and to learn what the other enjoys, what the other one likes. So I think that that's great. It also gives some actual examples in it of things you can do. That's all I'm going to say. But if you are looking for any kind of book along this sort of topic, if you want to spice it up in the bedroom a little bit, give it a go. I thought it was great. I'll say that much. I thought it was great. Another book I picked up at the library because it was also out. It was just really funny. The two things that they seemed to focus on for February was food and sex. Who knew? Pleasures of life in the month of February. But Delicious AF Vegan, whenever they get a brand new vegan cookbook, I almost inevitably pick it up because I want to see if I want to buy it for myself. I have a whole collection of vegan cookbooks. If you all would ever be interested in seeing that kind of material, I'd be happy to talk about it. But it did have some really good food options in here and some really nice recipes. A lot of waffles, crepes, how to make burgers, cinnamon rolls, all kinds of stuff. There was one in particular that really caught my interest. Because I used to be a cheese addict. I loved everything cheesy and just saucy and cheesy, and mac and cheese was probably one of the things I used to eat like all the time. But this rigatoni is just delicious. It was so good. And you make a cashew cream and you use non-dairy milk and a vegetable broth basically to make your sauce. And that worked really, really well. I usually have a hard time making a creamy kind of sauce as a vegan, but I've been picking up tips and tricks here and there that I think are really good. One of the best tips that I've gotten is, if you're familiar with tahini, it's ground up sesame seeds and it's a paste. If you use that as the base for a sauce, it actually turns out really well. And then another one, hummus. Hummus is also a really good, it'll make a really good like a sauce, almost like an Alfredo type of sauce. If you put it in with noodles and a little bit of water and you kind of mix it around, it's delicious. So those two make a pretty decent sauce nowadays. I got those both out of a different book, and it's the Deliciously Ella cookbooks. If you've ever heard of Deliciously Ella, that's where those ideas came from, and they're really great. They work really well. But there's a lot of pretty good ideas in here. I don't think I'm going to purchase this book though. For myself in my collection though, just because I have so many other cookbooks that have very similar recipes to this, and I can always look up more online. So, but otherwise it was a really good book, and I can always borrow it from the library too if I want to look it up again, or if there's a specific recipe in here I want to try. So anyway, and then that was all like the regular books that I picked up. And then I read a couple of manhwas this month. One of them was called The Seventh Time Loop. The Seventh Time Loop, the villainess enjoys a carefree life with her worst enemy. That is such a mouthful. Here is one of the covers here. I read everything that was basically available online to read. If you're familiar with Tappytoon, that's one place you can go. There is another website called mangafire.io, I believe. If you are interested in reading manga and manhwa, and it doesn't bother you to read scanlations that are free, aka they have been pirated. If that doesn't bother you at all, I would suggest going over to Mangafire. It's an excellent site. I've had very few problems actually accessing and using the platform, accessing the manga and manhwa. If that bothers you, go through a site like Tappytoon. I totally get it. I really do feel like these people should be paid for what they create, of course. And I used to in the past buy a lot of manga, and I spent so much money on manga when I was younger. But yeah, I'd spend entire paychecks at the Barnes and Noble on manga sometimes. And the sad fact of the matter is I gave away all of my manga when I moved into this house because we really didn't have room for it anywhere. And I gave most of that away to either my brother or to friends of mine who were interested in keeping it. And I really only kept one of them called Azumanga Daioh because Azumanga Daioh is hilarious and I love it. I absolutely love it. And I'll go back and look at them again and crack up because they're just so funny. But the Seventh Time Loop is one of those villainous type stories again. Person wakes up in the body of one of the characters in a novel, and she is the villain character, and she knows she's going to die unless she does things to change fate. So the unique part about this one, though, which is a little bit different from some of these other ones that have come out with basically the same plot line lately, is that she has done this like 7 times already. And every time she dies, she ends up coming back in the same place and time as she had started. And so she's trying to figure a way out. And this time she decides to turn and go a different way for once. And she ends up running into her worst enemy in this book, the person that actually ends up killing her in the real novel itself. And she decides, well, maybe I start a relationship with this guy. Maybe we'll see what happens if I go this path. So I thought that was pretty interesting. It's a kind of fun novel. I've enjoyed it. And it was just kind of an easy read. And yeah, I have no complaints about it. I think I've given it like a 4 stars so far because it's just been kind of cute and interesting, and I've enjoyed it a lot. Pretty colorful too. A lot of the manhwas are actually full color, which is another thing I really like. And I guess since they're all digital to begin with, it's just easier to color them since they're all digital. The next one that I read, I think is actually a manga and not a manhwa. I don't remember. It's called Bibliophile Princess. And I've been reading that one, and I've enjoyed it a lot. I think it's really cute. This prince and princess, they are arranged to be married. She pretty much all the time reads books. That's all she does. And so they're engaged for like 3 years or something, and he still has not, and they still haven't gotten married. And so he seems like he's becoming interested in another girl. At least she thinks that he is. And so she gets kind of worried about it, and she kind of figures out that, hey, I actually like this guy, and I would actually like to marry him. And the story kind of just keeps going and unfolding from there. And it's really cute. And I really enjoyed it. So I think that February at this point was just the month of cuteness, a month of fluff for me, which is fine. I don't have any problem with that at all. I every once in a while need to have something really easy, really chill, and really fluffy to read. So anyway, that was everything for the month of February that I put hands on and read. I've started a lot of books though, and so we're going to get into that with my next video, which is what I plan to read for the month of March. Month of March is shaping up to be something. I don't know what exactly yet, but it's shaping up to be something, and I kind of want to challenge myself too. I've really enjoyed the month of January and the month of February a lot. I think that they're probably my favorite reading months now, because it's so cold outside. You don't want to do anything else other than just sit inside and read, which I'm just really loving lately. I used to hate winter with a passion. I'd always be like, gosh, I just wish it would be spring and summer again so I could go outside and do stuff instead of just staying inside all the time and being miserable and cold. Well, now I just read instead, and the miserable coldness doesn't bother me anymore, because it's, you know, it's just nice to sit and read about other places and, you know, put your mind somewhere else, even if it's like someplace cold or someplace warm or whatever. It's just fun having that adventure while you've got nothing else to do, really. All right, well, I hope that you have enjoyed this video, and I hope that you join me again very soon for my What I Plan to Read in March. So I hope that you have wonderful reading adventures, and we'll see you soon. Bye-bye.